Hey guys, welcome back to Fix It Phillip. We got a 2005 Toyota Tacoma 4.0 two-wheel drive today, and the passenger front wheel bearing is bad, so we're going to replace the wheel bearing. I actually got a whole hub assembly, which is this here, which is nice because it comes with all the bolts. You don't have to worry about separating the hub from the bearing or replacing seals. It all comes together in one piece. And this thing, you can actually hear it. I'm going to wiggle it up and down. So when it's driving down the road, it's already humming and making all kinds of crazy noises. So it definitely shouldn't have any play in it, and this one's already getting pretty bad. So I'm gonna show you guys how to replace a wheel bearing hub assembly. Okay, so we're going to take the whole brake caliper assembly off and the brake rotor. So in the back of the caliper, we're going to remove these two 17mm bolts. Do not separate these. This is a whole one-piece caliper. There's seals in here and all the fluid will leak out. So we're going to take this 17 off, this 17 off. There's a hard metal line right here. So we're going to take off this 12mm here, and we're going to push this over to the side and hang it up somewhere so this metal line doesn't get bent. Okay, here's this 12mm for the brake line bracket. You can take off this clip too if you want, but I'm just gonna do it this way. Take off the ABS sensor from there. We got a 10mm right here that we can take off. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take off the two 17mm bolts that I showed you for the brake caliper. Which is these two. I'll move this off to the side. Make sure you don't let it hang because you're gonna bend that short metal brake line. I just got it up here. I'm gonna tie it down so it doesn't fall down. Okay, now we can take off the rotor, which this one's stuck on there. Okay, it has these little threaded bolt holes, so that thing's pretty stuck. So we're gonna put two bolts in here and it'll help push it out. There it goes. Oh man, hear that bearing. Ooh. Okay, instead of pulling this whole hub off and separating it and changing the hub or just the bearing, like I said, we're gonna do the whole thing. So you got these 17mm bolts here. You got 4 of them. We're just gonna use a wrench and take those off, and the whole thing will come out. and they don't unscrew quite all the way. We just get them loose. Wiggle this back and forth until it starts to budge. And you can unscrew it the rest of the way. Make sure you remember how the backing plate goes. You have that on there before you put the new hub assembly back on. There it is. See if you can hear it. So that thing is junk. I'm gonna clean up this surface a little bit with a razor blade, and then we'll put it back on. It's not too bad. Another thing you can see here, here's the ABS sensor. And that actually, there's a tone ring inside this actual bearing seal, I guess you would call it. It's part of the bearing itself. And this is what the ABS sensor reads on. Okay, so we're gonna put it back on. We gotta put the dust shield on and this on at the same time. There is a little O-ring right here. Basically, it's like a dust O-ring, so make sure there's one there. This one comes with a new one. Okay, I'm gonna snug these down pretty tight. Just gonna crisscross it. Okay. Okay, it's all on, all good to go. Put the rotor back on. You can put a nut on if you want to hold it in place while you put the caliper back on. There. Okay, we'll put this 12mm bolt back in for the bracket. And then the 10mm here, and this clip here. Okay, and then just make sure that the backing plate isn't touching the rotor anywhere. Okay, I'm just going to clean off this rotor with a little bit of brake clean. Get all that PB blaster off. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, on the front of the hub assembly there's this little dust cap. The new one did not come with it, so make sure you put this dust cap on also. Okay, there it is. Okay, we are all done. New hub bearing assembly is done. Pretty much the same concept as the four-wheel drive, except that this one doesn't have splines and you don't have a axle nut that you got to take off. But the whole 4 bolts in the back and taking it off and putting it on is the same concept, whether you have a 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. So thank you guys for watching Fix It Phillip. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And remember, with Fix It Phillip, you can fix it. I'll see you next time.